Hello, and welcome to another week of the Storied Arcs podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike.
And I'm your co-host, Alex.
And today we are doing hopefully, our shortest episode ever other than the teaser, because we are doing a spoiler-free introduction to our next book. And it is a creative team that we just talked about one book ago. Literally, Joe Henderson, Lee Garbett, Antonio Fabella, and Simon Boland. And this time, they're working together on Shadecraft.
This is a book from Image Comics, much like Skyward. When we did Skyward, that being 3 volumes there, 15 issues, we had actually talked about adding Shadecraft on at the end and just, including it with it, since it was the same creative team. Ultimately, we decided, we'll leave. Maybe we do Shadecraft on a one-shot later, or include it in a theme month or something like that, and we just focused on Skyward. But then, funny thing, writer Joe Henderson reached out to us after listening to our discussions on Skyward, and restarted and started the dialogue. And so we decided, you know what, might as well go back, since we almost included it anyway. We're going to go back and talk about Shadecraft, and then after we do that, we're gonna have a sit down chat with Joe Henderson himself to talk about both Skyward and Shadecraft. So,
and I think literally the only reason we didn't is that it's a little bit of Morning Glory syndrome. Morning Glories. Like, there's not really an argument that that's any kind of natural ending. This book ends the arc successfully, but clearly anticipates more.
That's what I'm going to say. Yeah, it is a clear ending this story, and what the next story is going to be. And we just don't get it. So, but getting to talk to Joe Henderson, the co-creator of this, will be a fun way to kind of wrap up both these books and kind of look at them together as kind of cousins and kindred spirits. So, don't need to go through the whole team. If you want to find out more about Joe, Lee, Antonio, and Simon, go back and listen to the 0 episode we did one book back for Skyward. But this book came out in 2021. It's 5 issues. It's only 1 volume. March to July 2021. Still a pretty rough time for the comic industry there.
Your shops are back open.
Yes.
Printing's open, but distribution's a piping hot mess.
It is still really up in the air. The one trade that we're discussing, that came out later in the year in 2021. So, still at a time when there's so much kind of volatility, on all ends, on the distribution end, on the publisher end, on the retail end. Just didn't kind of know what was going on. And so this is a book that probably fell through the cracks a little bit, which is a shame, because I think it's a really fun book with a really cool concept. And I think you have the summary pulled up, the official Image summary here.
I do. Yeah. It's the classic Image thing where the trade summary is the same as the first issue. But the pitch here is Zadie Lou is afraid of her own shadow. She's a teenager, so she really should have outgrown it by now, right? But something weird is happening in her small town. Zadie could swear the shadows are coming to life, watching her, trying to kill her. But how do you fight something you can't even touch? And how does all this tie into her family, of all things? And then he also has the register pitch in here, which is he's a great.
Which I think it's really interesting. Yeah.
The register pitch: the dark tones of Demon Slayer and Something is Killing the Children meets the cast of contemporary teen characters, not unlike Veronica Fish and Kelly Thompson's Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It's just man, whoever, your writer or editor, whoever came up with that pitch, earned their keep that day.
And I got to say that there is I can see that. I think Something is Killing the Children is a great
comp.
It's a very good comp,
but with a totally different tone, which is why you get the Sabrina, right?
Exactly.
So, but it's not just one of those. Hey, it's a lot like that best-selling book at Image right now. Mm-hmm. It's genuinely like that.
I do think when we talk about this book, though, there is a version of this book with this conceit that is Something is Killing the Children.
Oh, sure.
There is, which is a completely different type of book. I think the reason, what we'll probably really get into, I think what you can look forward to reading this book is I think really think about kind of the tonal. No, sorry, wrong word. The thematic similarities that this book has with Skyward, and know that this book came a couple years after Skyward was complete, and kind of seeing, kind of thinking that in their mind, especially because it's so unfortunately short that it's just those 5 issues. It's just this one volume. So there isn't a lot there's so much potential in this story. So I think it's helpful to kind of read it through the lens of Skyward. You know what I'm saying? To kind of see these kind of different views into a similar type of setup, which I think is really interesting to think about.
I agree. I will also say I went into this book totally cold with the first issue, like didn't know anything about it. Hadn't read. I read this before I read Skyward, or at least the first issue or started the series or whatever. But at the end of the first issue, it was unclear to me whether I'm reading Something's Killing the Children or I Kill Giants.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, are these shadows like the metaphor, for grief, for teenage burden, or whatever, or are they actually there? And we're gonna get into some like, horror-esque hunting type thing.
Yeah.
And I think that what the book will give us is an interesting discussion there, because clearly, shadows are metaphorical while also being real.
Also being literal, yes, yeah. So no,
I'll leave it at that.
It is. This is a really fun book, and I think you and I, we can say right now, you and I both had the same feeling at the end of this first volume, what is just like, there's this longing for more of this world in particular, because it's so obvious in its unrealization that this is just the first act of what was supposed to come more. And, kind of knowing that there isn't any more there, it really hurts when you see, I think, a book like that. And so I think we'll try and celebrate these 5 issues as best we can.
That's what we're doing. Yeah.
This one volume here.
I think it's fun. You'll hear my pitch anyway for like where this could have gone.
I've got one as well.
But not at the cost of what this book is, because this book is great. Like it's like it's basically like a 5 out of 5 no notes type situation.
It's a great conceit. I think the setup, the concept of what the story is about. So if it's not a book you read before or hadn't picked up, again, it's only 5 issues. It's just the one volume.
And we know Lee's art is perfect. We know Joe's like story beats and delivery, and it's just like, and then once you have a great concept, this thing literally just falls perfectly into place so quickly.
Yeah.
Literally first page had me with the character.
This one is a lot of fun, but there's a little bit of heartbreak there knowing that it's all we get out of it. But again, I think this along with Skyward make a really interesting pair. And it would have been so great if they were both 15 issue series, right? If they both had a similar run to really get to kind of dig into kind of similar, kind of compare and contrasting themes. But we take what we can get in this case, because this is all we have of this really kind of beautiful setup. But looking at this along with Skyward, I think you'll probably see why we thought about initially including them together. And then it may become more clear to us as we discuss it, that it was a mistake that we did in the first place, and we should have just done it always. But this way, we get to talk about both these great books, and then, like I said, we will have a conversation coming up with writer Joe Henderson, which I can't wait to get to get to and really dig into his thoughts on kind of all this comic madness, knowing that he's a TV writer, TV.
He's gainfully employed. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He's got a day job doing something else, and yet he's kind of parachuted in and dropped some really cool, really interesting, really fun and enjoyable books. But I guess it helps when you got someone like Lee Garbett putting your words to art.
Absolutely. I can't think of a stronger endorsement. This should be readily available in trade.
I think
probably
so,
go dig through your shop and find
you might be able
most
to.
of
You might
them
be able
back
to.
issues.
At the
And,
very
it's
least,
only 5 years old.
Yeah, the trade will be out there. It should be out there. So
it certainly is. I read it on Hoopla, and then I realized I have the physical one on my shelf. I just hadn't cataloged it, so I'm dumb. But that's extra money in their pocket, so and I pay my taxes. So you are welcome, creative team. Anyway, we will see you next week for issues 1 through 5, the total run of Shadecraft.
Peace.